Thank you for joining me at Deanna's studio, where we are in book club discussing IBM and the Holocaust by author Edwin Black. Today we will be completing chapter 2. To carry out their goal of thinning out the population. I recorded something here, and it's just a not something I'm going to. It's not something that I'm going to show, like a video I'm going to show, but I'm going to play something, a recording that I did. I recorded. This is Ted Gunderson, and I wanted to share something that supports, what I'm saying about the chemtrails. That I believe that is a tactic, that is a strategy of them, people in our government, or I don't know who it is that's doing it. I'm assuming it's government related, trying to thin out our population. If they can't get us with the mRNA filled shots, these pandemics and this and that were not effective enough, well, then they've got this other tool in their toolbox, chemtrails. Okay, this is what Ted Gunderson. He was the director of the FBI in Los Angeles many years ago. He actually worked under J. Edgar Hoover, and he was alive longer than Hoover was, so he was there. He had this long career in the FBI. He retired from the FBI, and he started to notice corruption. And he said within the FBI, after Hoover died, FBI and CIA, and what he said was the once great FBI and CIA, the intelligence agencies, he says they have been infiltrated with a satanic cult, and he referred to them as the Illuminati. He didn't mention the Freemasons, but that is all under the same umbrella. It's the Brotherhood system. They're satanic. He believed that all the child trafficking was coming from this satanic cult, the Illuminati, the trafficking of the human trafficking. And he was exposing chemtrails, and many believe that this is what caused him to be killed, to be assassinated, and they believe that the Illuminati poisoned him to death, and he was killed, by them. I'm going to go ahead and play this recording.
The death dumps, otherwise known as chemical trails, are being dropped and sprayed throughout the United States, in England, Scotland, Ireland, Northern Europe, and I have personally seen them not only in the United States but in Mexico and Canada. Birds are dying around the world. Fish are dying by the hundreds of thousands around the world. This is genocide. This is poison. This is murder by the United Nations. This element within our society that's doing this must be stopped. I happen to know of two of the locations where the airplanes are that dump this crap on us. 4 of the planes are out of Air National Guard, Lincoln, Nebraska, and the other planes are out of Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I personally have observed the planes that were standing still in Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, at the Air National Guard. They have no markings on them. They're huge, bomber-like airplanes with no markings. This is a crime. Crime against humanity, crime against America, crime against the citizens of this great country. They must be stopped. What is wrong with Congress? This has an effect on their population and their people and their friends and their relatives and themselves. What's wrong with them? What's wrong with the pilots who are flying these airplanes? They're dumping this crap, this poison, on their own families. Somebody has to do something about it. Somebody in Congress has to step forward and stop it now. But thank you. I'm Ted Gunderson.
Okay, so that was Ted Gunderson. I became aware of Ted Gunderson, I'd say within the year, this past year. And from what I've seen of his videos, I encourage everybody to look into him too. I watch them, I've seen them on Rumble, and I think he's an amazing person. So I wish he was still alive. So he has a lot of really valuable information that it appears to be playing out right now in our, in our society right now. So I think it's very valuable to, to look and, check into him, check into his videos. He exposes a lot of stuff that he saw years ago, and now here it is, it's playing out. He was right, I would say. Okay, it says eradication of those portions of the population which are undesirable. In other articles, in keynote speeches for statistical conventions, Zahn stressed there is almost no area of life in Germany which has not been creatively pollinated by the National Socialist ideology. There is almost no area of life in Germany which has not been creatively, I'm trying to say the word, creatively pollinated by the National Socialist ideology. This is also true for the field of statistics. Statistics has become invaluable for the Reich. See that? When it says statistic, what comes to my mind is artificial intelligence. And the reason for that is because of the capacity for, the artificial intelligence has, when you especially when you link it with things like the predictive policing, the Palantir program. I mean, there's just, it's beyond the reach of human ability to carry out certain things and to be able to compile, information, to the degree, at such a high degree that human beings can't compete with it. So when I back in their day, this was the artificial intelligence. All this were these machines, the Holocaust machines, and the statistics that they were able to perform. And back in that day, that was a big deal for them. So and in our day, it's all this technology stuff, all the artificial intelligence. It's the predictive policing programs. It's all that what we are dealing with those things is what we're seeing right here. It's all technology. Okay. All right. This is also true for the field of statistics. Statistics has become invaluable for the Reich. You see that? And the Reich has given statistics new tasks in peace and in war. Zahn declared, small wonder, in its very essence, statistics is very close to the National Socialist movement. He added, German statistics has not only become the registering witness, but also the creative co-conspirator of the great events of time. Indeed, as co-conspirators, Nazi statisticians worked hand in hand with the battalions of Hitler's policy enablers and enforcers. From the Reich Race and Settlement Office and all its many allied agencies to the SS itself, identifying the Jews was not only the first step along the road to Jewish destruction in Germany. Wait a minute, let me read that again. Identifying the Jews was, okay, here it is. I think I read that wrong. Okay, identifying the Jews was only the first step along the road to Jewish destruction in Germany. So this right here confirms what I just said. They had to be identified in order for them to be exterminated, okay? We see that with what I just mentioned, with all these technologies, artificial intelligence, the predictive policing program, because it identifies us at a very, 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 very high scale. Okay, identifying the Jews was only the first step along the road to Jewish destruction in Germany. Okay, I'm going to move on to page 50. Okay, and this is the last thing that I'm going to read. Let's see, it's about halfway down the page. It says, to be sure, D. Hamag, and I have a little note here, and it says, deception at its finest. To be sure, D. Hamag managers were as fervently devoted to the Nazi movement as any of Hitler's scientific soldiers. Okay, when it says D. Hamag managers, it's talking about IBM. The managers in IBM, they were very, very much had their hands in monitoring everything, servicing the equipment. They would service it themselves. And so the IBM was very, very, very much involved with all of this. They were co-conspirators of the Holocaust, the extermination of all the Jews. IBM New York understood this from the onset. See that? Heidinger, a rabid Nazi, saw D. Hamag's unique ability to imbue the Reich with population information as a virtual calling from God. That's why I made the note, deception at its finest. When people are over here exterminating human beings, and I would say even there's many people in the United States, and actually around the world, not just the United States, but that are being tortured, on the government list, target list. I'm one of those people. Government list, target list. I'm one of those people. I am being tortured and it's coming through directed energy weapons. It's coming from microwave weapons that are people in our government. It could be law enforcement, like local police departments. They have access. They have microwave weapons where they can torture the citizens, those who they have a beef with. They will torture you, and I'm being. That's happening to me, and it's not. There's a lot of people that are. This is happening to. It's just a hidden. It's kind of like their dirty little secret. It's very hidden. It's something that they don't want the public to know about, and people at times will hear about it. They're like, "That's crazy. That's insane. It's made up." It's not true. It is happening. So. But when they're doing things like that, torturing people, and in this case, killing a whole race of people, a people group, they're exterminating, and then they're saying they're doing a service for God, they're doing something good. No, that is deception at its finest. It's demonic deception. Okay, let's see. Okay, they saw it as a virtual calling from God. His enraptured passion for D. Hamag's sudden new role was typically expressed while opening a new IBM facility in Berlin. And listen to this, quote, "I feel it almost a sacred action," end of quote. Declared Heidinger emotionally, "I pray the blessing of heaven may rest upon this place," end quote. That day, while standing next to the personal representative of Watson and IBM with numerous Nazi Party officials in attendance, Heidinger publicly announced how in tune he and D. Hamag were with the Nazi race statistics, who saw population statistics as the key to eradicating the unhealthy inferior segments of society, right? Doesn't that sound like eugenics? Eradicating the unhealthy inferior segments of society. But understand that that is all a matter of personal perspective and personal opinion as to whether somebody is really, that type of, falls in that category of being unhealthy, inferior segments of society, especially inferior. Now, you can say somebody's unhealthy as far as they're physically unhealthy, But to say somebody is inferior, like they're the rejects of society, is basically what they're doing. The outcasts of the reject of society. Okay. So I'd like to end with saying that the American people, as we have banded together to fight, many injustices. Number one, like the stuff that was going on with the pandemic. Number two, we are embroiled in a fight right now, and it's a worthy fight, and it's a very good fight that we are carrying out right now. And I'm amazed at when how effective our fight is, or the things that many people have done as far as podcasters, the types of information that has been exposed and shared and passed on, authors, people that are writing books. It's to me it's amazing what the American people can accomplish when we band together for a worthy cause, for a worthy purpose. I'd like to play one more video recording, and what this one this one pertains to. This is a video that I saw a while back. I saw this video, and what it is, it's Natalie and Clayton Morris of Redacted News. They are excellent. I love them. I love watching their show. They share a lot of really good information, and they don't hold back either. They do not hold back. So and I like that, because I like people that are telling the truth, even if it goes against the grain of society and rubs people the wrong way. We want to know the truth. We want to know the truth about things that are taking place, and that's how we bring change. This is how, as ugly of a truth some of this stuff is, that's how we bring and we promote change within our society. And we, the people, we have to use our voices, and this is how we do it. And it's an effective fight that we are engaged in, and we are being effective. People that are doing podcasts, and as long as they're telling the truth, they're sharing viable information from their research. People that are writing books, whatever it takes, or even supporting those that are engaged in this fight, and they're supporting really great causes. They're doing things to try to bring change within our positive change. Things that support our constitutional rights, or the opposite, exposing things that are violating our constitutional, our First Amendment rights. That's a hot topic right there, because that happens all day long, that those rights are violated. I wanted to share this because what I found out this information from them, and it's been a while, and what they were sharing is about how we have been told the history of Hitler and that whole Holocaust and Nazism, that Hitler committed suicide, and that was the end of Hitler. He committed suicide, and then we were done with Hitler, right? Turns out it was a lie. It was not true. They found out that Hitler escaped. He fled, and he took off to Argentina, where he took refuge. He went into hiding, and he took refuge, and he had a family. He had a few more children while he was there. So that part of history we've been lied to. We were lied about that piece of history of how that went down, how that played out. Hitler did not commit suicide. He fled Germany, and he went and he started a new life. And he started a new life in Argentina. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and play this, and then I'll make a few comments about this, because there's some things that I wanted to comment about.
Story, and who have studied the subject know that Adolf Hitler didn't kill himself in a bunker in Berlin as the Red Army closed in. I think we all know that was a fabricated story, or if you watch this show, you probably understand that. Hitler actually fled Germany weeks before that using a group of underground tunnels that led to an airstrip
and that airstrip was flown. He was flown from Berlin out. It took submarines, or multiple submarines that were used, U-boats that were then sent to Argentina. In other words, Hitler lived for nearly 2 decades more in Argentina, along with vast numbers of the Third Reich. Well, now Argentinian President Javier Milei has just ordered the release of all remaining documents on all of those Nazis who fled Germany and moved to Argentina after World War II. Basically, it was almost like a second base of operations in Argentina. If you're not familiar with that, like basically the Third Reich operated out of Argentina and Germany. And many of them, including Adolf Hitler, lived in Argentina well after 1945. Most people know that Hitler lived out his days in Bariloche, Argentina, until he died there in the mid-1960s. Yes, you can read the CIA documents about this. The FBI documents also about sightings of Hitler in this area. They knew about it. Of course they knew about it. It was largely facilitated, I think it's safe to say, by the United States and its allies. Operation Paperclip, anybody? Quid pro quo?
Also, if you look into this, the skull that is held in Russia that was supposedly the remains of Adolf Hitler with a bullet wound in it is female.
Yeah.
So when you look for proof that Hitler did in fact kill himself in the bunker, you are going to find a lot of dead ends.
Yeah, and all you need to read, you can read a great book on this called The Grey Wolf. It's a great book. There's many books written about this now. But yeah, the skull, the fragments, they ran the DNA tests on it, and the Soviets allowed them to do this testing, and even Stalin openly talked about that Hitler lived, that he was not there, so Stalin even knew about it. It's widely known in Argentina, by the way, well known, that Hitler sired 2 children while he lived in Argentina.
Okay, so we find out after all this time that understanding that Hitler committed suicide, that was not true. It was a lie. He took refuge in Argentina, and I want to point out, and many people found out about this within the last week or two, I believe. The creator of Palantir, the predictive policing software, has up and left the United States, and he's living in Argentina. Sila. Pause and calm and think of that one. Pause and calmly think of that one. Anticipate. Think about that. Okay? So with that said, the only thing I have to say, I want to end with this. The only thing I have to say about it all is that Americans, when we come together, we band together and we fight for our constitutional rights. We fight and we expose, whether it's through podcasts, whether it's through writing books, whether it is through sending money to people that were organizations that are they're in the fight, and they're doing worthy things to fight for this nation and to uphold our Constitution. When we come together, American citizens, we the people, we are resilient. We are resilient, and we are making a difference. And we need to continue on in that fight. If you're a podcaster, continue on in that fight. If you're writing books, whatever we can do, our voice matters, and we are resilient. And I just want to carry on in that fight, carry on standing up, and because many times it feels like, it could seem like, oh, this is too big for us, like this whole thing about the data centers, the artificial intelligence, the all of it. It could, and the Silicon Valley, what's coming out of Silicon Valley, it could seem like this monstrosity that's way too big for us. But we are resilient when we come together, and we can and we are making a difference. I believe that it's working. When I heard that about Argentina, that he fled to Argentina, moved to Argentina, sold his product, I thought, oh my goodness, it's working. So with that, thank you so much for tuning in to Deanna's Studio.